This is my gal. gavel.
Oh, yeah, okay.
My all-purpose gavel.
They're patched.
I'd like to call the City of Portage City Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pat, would you start us off, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nina, would you please do the roll call?
Councilperson Alvarez? Here. Councilperson Sikorsky?
Here.
Councilperson Geisler?
Here.
Councilperson Glenn?
Here.
Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Gully?
Here.
Councilperson Zilli?
Here.
We have the approval of minutes from the February 2nd meeting. Did everybody get to see those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
One of the things I'd like to ask council is when you speak, because I've heard people can't understand us talking through this mask talk, so if you just kind of lower your mask or distance enough, I think we're okay. How many are that had their shot already? Everybody had their shot? Scott did.
Yeah, I've had two.
Yeah.
I've had two.
Dan's had two, I've had two. Colin's had two. We're working at it, guys. Okay, we have communications, correspondence, and announcements from the mayor. I have two very important things to do right now, and that is to swear in 2 new police officers. So I think we'll do that separately, so if their family wanted to take a picture, then they can. Mm-hmm. And if the council wants to come up and join me in that, that would be great.
Do we want to start off with
Officer Feliciano.
Mayor.
Mayor, did you want to start off with prayer before we get started?
Oh, yes, we can. Yeah. Is that your new pastor? I'm sorry, yeah. Pastor. Come on up and we're going to say our prayer first. We forgot. It wasn't on my note thing, so I apologize.
Let's pray. Father, we just come before you today, and the words that come to mind are Psalm 19:14. Let the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. And I pray that you be with these council members today. I pray that you be with their families, those they represent. And Father, bless them with discernment. Bless them with wisdom. And Father, thank you for the privilege it is to be a part of this city and the opportunity that we all have to serve. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And welcome to our
Welcome.
city pastor.
Yes,
I hear
welcome.
you are
Get
just
a chance,
new here.
welcome him.
So
Thank
welcome
you.
to our city. Okay, Officer Feliciano, please come forward. And if any council people would like to join me, feel free to do so.
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
and
the laws of the United States of America,
the laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office as a member of the City of Portage Police Department
Portage Police Department
to the best of my ability
and
according to the law. So help me God.
So help me God.
Tyler Bowling,
I, Tyler Bowen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America,
and the laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Indiana,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
execute the duties of my office
execute the duties of my office
as a City of Portage Police Department
as a City of Portage Police Department
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and according to the law.
and according to the law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Want to sign here and here, then I'll give you one of these. Might have to cross ours.
They did yesterday. They recruited.
That's for you, and I'll give one to your team.
Yeah. They were like, they recruited like the exchange or whatever to make the transition.
Yeah, everybody got that. Did I get hacked? Yeah.
Yeah. There wasn't enough time to warn somebody.
Big smile. I think that mask
I was. Right. We have to sit down waiting list. Right.
We now have the clerk treasurer's report.
So the annual report was submitted yesterday to Gateway. There's still some pending adjustments, so it will be unsubmitted and resubmitted.
I think, is your mic on?
Yeah. So basically, just a summary, our general fund, we ended with a little over 2 million. However, which is better than last year, which was $11,906. But that said, we still had to borrow 5.1 million from the bond bank. That also included receiving our tax draw of 4.2 million, and when we had to repay. So we basically only earned 670,000 after we received our tax draw because we had to pay the bond bank back from last year.
Okay.
So it's an improvement. That said, taking consideration too, we had the 1.6 million from the from the bond for capital purchases reimbursed, and that also includes the CARES Act money. So had we not received that funding, we would be negative 126,000 in the general fund, is what we would have ended. But on a positive note, we were able to pay back all of our temp loans. So, and if you want to compare it to 2019, we've had 2.6 million outstanding temp loans. So basically, the general fund would have been negative in 2.6 million. So
Nice.
there's an improvement, but it is what it is.
Baby steps. Going forward. Thank you.
So the draft annual report is in Dropbox for everybody, but there's some utility adjustments that have to be made, and then some finalized bankrupt adjustments.
Are there any questions? Okay, moving on. We have reports from standing committees. I will start with Chief Candiano.
Good evening again.
Good evening, Chief.
Thank you for doing that, Mayor. I know it's been, we've been trying to get that scheduled with COVID and everything. It's been kind of strange. Those officers have actually been at the academy a couple weeks now, but it's just hard getting everybody together during these times. So they're doing well. We are excited to have them. It's strange times, especially in law enforcement. I know we've talked before. It's harder and harder to get people that want to do the job. When you're doing these hiring processes, there's less and less people coming out. But I feel pretty fortunate that our last couple hires, we've had a lot of turnover lately with retirements and things, and I'm pretty excited about some of them have come out. So they're doing a great job. We just released an officer yesterday, so I am excited at the direction we're going. So, all right, I sent you guys some numbers. Total incidents for February for this year, 2,500. Last year it was 2,486, so just a couple more. It's about 89 incidents per day as opposed to 88 last year. And then year to date, we're at 5,437 as opposed to 5,388. So pretty close, a little bit busier so far this year. We'll see what is to come. I also sent you guys some arrest information. We had 44 arrests this February. We had 74 last year. Not real sure what the correlation was there since there were less calls last year, but so the arrests are actually down right now. And then I broke down for you all the arrests that we've had, and as you can see, a lot of them are domestic battery, welfare checks, mental commitments, overdoses, narcotics, alcohol-related crimes. It's kind of this theme that we've been talking about with the COVID and just all the things that have been going on in the world. A lot of the mental health things are what's driving, unfortunately, our call volumes. So that has kind of continued. And then I think I mentioned last month we had 2 officers that were injured, that were assaulted. We had 2 more this month, so we're already at 4 for the year. So another unfortunate trend that seems to be going on. So that's 4 times our officers already been assaulted this year. So a little bit of a disturbing number for that. So for some good news, for our staffing, Sergeant Damon Wazilowski has retired after 20 plus years of service. He officially retired a week or so ago. So we wish him good luck on the next stage of his career, or of his life. We also had an officer that retired on a disability. And then we have a 3rd officer that's accepted a position with a federal agency, and he'll be leaving in the next couple of months. So we have 3 officers that we need to be hired to replace them. And we started making phone calls for those that are on the list, and it sounds like we'll have 3 good candidates to replace them when those times come. So we also have 3 currently at the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, 2 being the officers that we just swore in, and another one which I think we swore in back in October. So I want to say they maybe have 10 weeks or so left, something like that. So we should see them mid-April out on the road. And then as I mentioned before, Officer Hernandez finished his field training yesterday. He's been released to solo patrol, so he'll be out on his own soon. So what does all that mean? We're currently about 6 officers short of full staff. I mean, we've got them hired or going to be hired, but by the time everybody gets trained and ready to go on their own, we're probably looking at the fall. So we're hoping that we don't have any other changes between now and then. All right, promotions. Due to Sergeant Wazilowski retiring, we made 2 promotions. We promoted Corporal John Wright to Sergeant, and Master Patrolman Tony Danduran was promoted to Corporal. So those were movements that were made once Sergeant Wazilowski left. So those took place, I believe, last Sunday. Training hours for this year, or for this week, or month, sorry, 79 hours in February. That's got us at 130 hours year to date. So kind of that beginning of the year, training is not, there's not a whole lot of things going on right now, but we're still getting the hours in, so I was pretty happy with those numbers. A couple more things. Sergeant Jim Egan was nominated and voted for as Officer of the Year for 2021 by his peers. So we'll probably put something out about that soon, but I wanted to let you all know about that. So those of you who don't know him, Sergeant Egan is a nearly 22-year veteran. He served in the patrol division. He's been a field training officer. He's been a supervisor, and he's currently assigned to the Porter County Highway Interdiction Team, which is a joint task force between us, Valpo, and the Porter County Sheriff's Department working on narcotics on our highways. So he's done a fantastic job out there and is definitely deserving of the award. So, and 2 more things. Good things that we've done in the last month. Our SWAT team participated in a joint training with the Portage Township Schools and the Porter County Sheriff's Department at Portage High School. I was excited about this because it's the first time in a while that we've done kind of a joint training with another department. It just kind of shows how far we've come, that we're doing these joint ventures with other entities in the county, with the schools, with the Sheriff's Department. And what we learned once they got in there was, I think we already knew how big that school was, but we realized that it's an undertaking to get in there and do what needs to be done. So the fact that we had both of those teams in there at the same time was great to be able to see, how we would work that out. So I was very happy that we were able to get in there and happy that the school let us in. I should note the school supplied some role players for us, so it was definitely a joint venture by everybody. So, and then last but not least, I don't know if I'm going to step on your toes here, Randy, you might talk about it too, but I know us in the fire department received these autism sensory kits and autism response training from the Portage Township Trustee's Office. It's a huge thing. We go to all different types of calls, deal with all types of people that are in all types of crisis, and this gives us some tools to be able to help those that are that have autism when we're going to the house. It just gives us more training and more techniques and tools to be able to help, calm them so that we can work through whatever we're at. I know, the fire department, I believe, got some too. So huge thing, very excited that we have that. And so we need to thank the trustee's office for that. So I was kind of rambling. I was all excited about the swearing in. I think I got myself going a little quick here. So you guys got any questions, let me know. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks,
Mike.
Chief. Thank you.
Chief Wilkening?
Good evening.
Good evening.
All righty. Let's see, last month, I don't even want to talk about last year. Last month, our calls were down a little bit. I think that's because of all the snow and the weather, which is a good thing for us. And we did end up with 397 calls for the month, which is slightly down from last month, but we're still ahead of last year's numbers. Of those, 284 of them were EMS calls and 14 of them were fire calls. So February was quite a busy month for us as far as fires. We had some pretty decent sized fires. No casualties, so that was a good thing. We did have problems. One of the fires we had at Ingram Manor, it was one of the coldest days of the year, so we did have some hydrant freezing up problems, but we had called mutual aid. Our mutual aid system is great in the county. We get help as soon as we call. People are there in no time, so it was great. We got everything done, and I just want to thank all the neighboring departments that are involved with it, that come help us out all the time on all of our big incidents. We also did 1,060 training hours last year, which is amazing because with the COVID, I think one of the positives of COVID has been we have learned to train without being together. So we do a lot of Zoom, a lot of stuff on video, so we can increase our training just that much more. Since we can't do a lot of hands-on stuff, we're still getting our training, we're still getting our guys educated. So I think that's a really big help. Right now we're in the process of hiring 4 new firefighters. We did have 2 resign, and then we also had Captain Ken Kender retire after about 30 years. And we also had Engineer Ray Smolar. He's going to retire next week after 26. So with the retirement of Captain Kender, we did make some promotions. We promoted Andy Hyman, Battalion Chief Andy Hyman. His permanent rank was lieutenant. He's promoted to captain, but he decided to stay as a chief officer, which is an administrative position. So he will hold the permanent rank of captain, but he'll still function as battalion chief, which meant the next person, which was Mark Malarick, Lieutenant Mark Malarick. So he was promoted to captain, and then Engineer Ross Steffel was promoted to lieutenant, and that was Firefighter Randy DeYoung was promoted to engineer. And then once Ray retires next week, then we'll make a promotion for him. We did receive the used needle container from the county's Substance Abuse Council. So that's being placed at Station 1. So if the public has any used needles, then they can drop them off there, and then we can get them to a safe disposal place. So that's a really big deal for us. We did submit 2 federal grants last month. The first one was for new portable radios. Our portable radios are getting out of date, so we did submit a FEMA grant for that. It's called AFG, the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. And then the second one we did was a regional grant. So we did that with the County 911 Board and several other fire departments in the area for our station alerting. If you didn't know, the county is moving towards a new system, and they're actually moving their whole facility into the old jail. So myself and Chief Candiano were at a meeting there today, and it's really looking nice, and it's going to be a really big thing. And then in October they're going to a new dispatch system. So this is going to involve a cost for everybody. So we're going to be able to help out by getting the grant and help defer the costs. So,
and Randy,
yes,
on the new dispatch system, what changes are they making? Just curious.
It's a whole new software they use. It's called Tibron right now, and they're going to, it's Premier One. So it's kind of a changeover. It'll give more information and more help out. So that's a big deal. We also did talk about how the Smart 911 thing is not really being utilized in the county. So I think we are going to start working up a plan to try to, once the COVID settles down and we can start getting out in the public, to try to educate the public and more on what exactly the Smart 911 is and how important it is for people to sign up and how it will help everybody involved. Them, the fire departments, police departments, so.
So if you're on Smart 911, will you automatically go over into the new system for all of us who are on Smart 911?
I'm pretty sure, I don't know that for a fact. I don't know, Mike, do you know?
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to change.
Yeah, I think everything's going to be a fairly seamless transfer over, but I believe, what is it, he said there's like 6% of the county that's utilizing Smart 911 at the moment, so, and it could be so much better, but I think it's just a lack of education to the public, so we're going to try and get the word out that way. We are still working on a third grant too about the feasibility of extra manpower, but that's something that still has to be worked out, and we're seeing and make sure before we do it that we get city approval before we go and submit that. So we did survive the snow. I was trying to remember, have we met since the snow? No. So we did survive the snow. I want to thank our fellow departments in the city. The street department did a lot helping dig out, and police department with calls and things. The cooperation was great. But I also want to give a big shout out to the members of my department. They worked really good, and it seemed like they had no interruptions in service. We did put a firefighter in our plow truck, and they pretty much followed up on every call that they had, just in case there was too much snow, so nobody would get stuck. So our access to people, it went great.
Nice.
So it worked out exactly the way it was supposed to. We did have a problem with a few of our vehicles this last month. We found ourselves a little short, so we ended up having, in case you were in the city and you saw a Hobart fire truck drive around, or we did have to borrow an ambulance from South Haven. It was for a couple of days just until we could hurry up and get stuff fixed. But I appreciate all the help from South Haven and Hobart. It's great cooperation that we have with our neighboring departments that we could do that. And so we're back in our own vehicles, so we're getting things fixed. The fleet's getting a little aged, but we're getting along. Last is we are in the process of we are setting up our promotional list. We do a promotion list every year, so our people they do a written test and they interview with our merit board, and then we set up a list for the next year. So when somebody retires or steps down, or however an opening comes for a promotion, then we know who to promote to next. So everybody's busy trying to get that done. So that's always in March. And just want to build on Chief Candiano's thing about the autism bags. I mean, they were wonderful. It's kind of started off in one department, and Joyce Russell took the reins and she built on it, and they're actually trying to even build a database and a bracelet, so it would be an identification bracelet, so if these children get found somewhere out, that they would have an identification bracelet on them. So they're going to start building that database, plus the bag just has different objects and fidgets and things like that to keep them occupied, so they don't freak out when all the things that are happening around them, and it helps calm them. Any questions? All righty.
Busy.
Yep, thank you.
Good job, Chief.
Park Superintendent Wilkie.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Just a little update on parks. We are entering our very busy spring season. We are currently hiring part-time seasonal help for our concession stands and maintenance. There's a link to the application on our website. If you know any young people looking for work this summer, please send them our way. The following programs opened yesterday for registration. We have a new pickleball program, adult softball, adult volleyball, youth soccer, youth volleyball, and then the following programs, the daddy-daughter dance, mother and son event, wine and canvas at the lakefront, and a few summer camps. Our spring craft show will happen on April 10th and 11th from 9 to 3 here at Woodland Park. We have had 184 people register for sports programs in the last 24 hours since we opened registration. The daddy-daughter dance is already sold out. However, we only opened it to a third of the capacity that we usually do. If they move our county to blue, we will be able to offer more tickets. So we're encouraging people to sign up on the waiting list, and we will call people in that order as the tickets become available. Our Market on the Square and our cruise nights will start in May, and our movies and music will be held every Friday in June and July. We are partnering once again this year with Kiwanis for their annual Easter egg hunt. It will be held here on Saturday, March 27th, starting at 9 o'clock a.m. from ages 3 to 11. Pre-registration is required, and there is a link on our website to register. Anyone interested in volunteering this spring and summer, please keep an eye on our website or on our Facebook page for opportunities. We do have one scheduled for March 20th at 9 a.m. We will be working in our garden that day. Our splash pad will open in time for Memorial Day, and just as a reminder, even though our weather is slowly getting warmer, the outdoor bathrooms are winterized and closed until May 1st. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Lori?
Thank you.
You're getting busy over there after a slow year last year. Barb, how's our marina doing?
Just right there. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
How's everybody tonight?
Not bad.
Good, thank you for asking.
Well, we survived winter, which I'm so happy that we didn't have any dock damage this year, so we didn't lose any poles or boards or anything. Everything is going to look good this year. As of today, we have 18 open slips, and most of those slips are in the 35-foot range. I anticipate that we'll have another busy year. I'm hoping that we're full again for 2021. As of today, our collections for 2021 are right on track, just about parallel with what we collected last year. It's around $108,000. And we're beginning our cleanup of the marina, the grounds, the buildings, and assessing the docks for board replacements and repairs. We are also looking for part-time help. If we could use the kids June, July, and August. Most of them go back to college about the second week of August. But if you know of any young people that are looking for summer part-time work, please let us know. The applications are at City Hall, and they can email them to the marina. We are also working on a small little project to increase parking at the marina on the far west side. We've contracted with Abatement, and they've come up with a plan to add 12 additional parking spaces on the far west side of the marina by the fishing pier, and that will help alleviate some of the problems that we've had in the past with overcrowding and problems with people fishing at the public pier and then people wanting to get into their boats. That's just a really busy side. We're also working on a kayak launch. The mayor, as she well knows about this, the board, myself, and Abatement, we're assessing various sites to get this project moving forward, to try to secure a safer place for a kayak launch. It needs to be away from the marina launch ramp. On the nicer days, the ramp area is extremely busy with power boats. And we've had so many kayak launches that we feel like they deserve a place of their own where they can truly, enjoy the waterway and not be in boat traffic. The locations that we've looked at are the old Conoco property that the Port Authority owns, the Port Authority property on the west side of Burns Waterway, and then we also looked at a spot in the marina on the far southwest side, sort of like in the corner. But these three spots are not ideal. The Conoco property is too steep, it can't be ADA accessible. The Port Authority property on the west side of the waterway there's no access road there, so it would really be impossible to even utilize that site for kayaking. And then the area in the marina is kind of tight. It would just add more parking in that area, and I think that would cause a problem for the slip holders. So that's about it that's going on. There's one spot that we're really interested in. That's the old yacht club. That would be an ideal kayak launch place, campground, whatever you want to call it. But we haven't heard anything about that. So we'll just keep pursuing our options, for a kayak launch, and hopefully the marina will be 100% packed this year, and I think it's going to be a great year again. Any questions?
Exciting.
Barb, how have you all been doing on filling slips for this year? I know with COVID, that might have hampered it a little bit.
No, last year, due to COVID last year, we were 100% full. We had a lot of influx from Illinois. And this year, I've had a lot of inquiries. People are not happy with, we're one of the lowest places in the area compared with like Michigan City, Hammond, Marina Shores, and people like the small aspect of it. We have 214 slips, and it's kind of like a family place. We've got people that have been there since 1996 when it first opened. So I'm hoping that we'll fill everything this year.
Good.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome.
Street Department Super Reader, who has been busy.
I am so glad February is over, and it's only 18 days of spring, so we have some great weather looking ahead of us. By next Tuesday, weatherman is saying it's 60 degrees. So, but with all that said, we had three major winter events in February. We did log about 2,569 man-hours to take care of those winter events. We used about 1,300 tons of salt. Just in the one event that dumped 18 inches of snow on us, we do our pre-inspections on our equipment, and the guys will mark down the miles. So we said, well, let's get a report. I want to see how many miles we drove and logged during that 18-inch storm that week. And we logged 8,731 miles on our plow equipment just in that storm. So it gives you an idea. All the streets were hitting, and it was really tough for our guys to keep the mains open during that initial storm because it snowed for 36 hours. And once those mains were safe and it stopped snowing, then we start cutting open the subs. And I know a lot of residents were impatient, but we did really do a really good job on this storm. And I just want to thank the departments that pitched in, the police, utilities, fire, everyone did a great job, and it was a good effort on our team that did this. So, but with that said, department so far this year has already ordered 4,277 tons of salt. That's a year to date. We're within that contract amount that we did. This month we'll be doing another state bid with that, so we will be joining in with other municipalities, counties throughout the state for those good pricing. Compared to last year, it was $77.72 a ton. This winter season, it went down to $72.19. I'm hoping for another good pricing this year as we enter that bid process. Currently, the department is working 2 patch crews throughout the city. I know there's lots of potholes out there. We're going through it. I just asked the patient from the public to, if you do have a pothole, just email our department. We'll get it on our list and get that taken care of as soon as possible. We are doing roadside debris pickup. I mean, as the snow melts, it reveals stuff that has been there for a couple months, and we're hitting those areas along our mains. So, and also our frost law is in effect throughout Portage. An application permit is located online on the city page and also on our Facebook page on the Street and Sanitation Department. If you want to contact us by phone, the phone number is 219-762-4564, or you can request one by email through us, but we are processing those frost law permits. The compost site on US 12, 6451 US 12, will open March 22nd. The county is rearranging those hours. As soon as those hours are available, I will be posting them to our Facebook page, so I'll send out an email as well. So, but for our sanitation department, last month we were 16.7% diversion rate, and this month we went up to about almost 19%. So, but that's the end of my report. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Fine job, keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
Yes, good
We know you
job.
guys got stressed in February, good job.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was very stressful.
Being
You
on the
want to
weekend,
tell
the
the
snow hit
council
each
about
time.
the CNG?
Oh, the CNG, right now we're working with Clean Cities, Ryan Listic, did I say that right? He is writing some grants for the city for some CNG equipment, some infrastructure grants, and also some training grants possibly. So those numbers are being finalized. As soon as I get those numbers, I'll be sitting down with Madam Mayor and Councilperson Podgorski regarding those numbers, and then we'll get them to the council. So, okay, very good. Very good opportunities to take advantage of some of the funding out there for equipment. So, okay.
Good job, Randy. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may,
City
Darren.
Council, hey, these guys did a great job. This will be my first winter with the city. I'm not a newcomer to plowing. I did it for 9 years on the toll road. So I know what they went through. They put a lot of hours out there. And people don't realize that it's a dangerous job for them, and it's a tiring job. They probably got some bumps and bruises from bouncing all over the place during that whole time. But I've learned a lot during this maybe, like I said, the first winter. I want to thank PD for all their help. I kind of jumped the gun one day. I wanted the cars out of the way. So we knew a big storm was coming. But I kind of jumped the gun saying, hey, let's get these cars off the road. But they absolutely did a good job. I was out there with them. I did a 12-hour shift right along with them, making sure they're safe and doing a good job. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were even on Fox News, right?
That's right.
And we do have a female plow truck driver, Ashley, who was interviewed on Fox News. So, yeah. Now, I wanted to bring up Deb because she is on the Traffic Commission, and we did have some issues with cars on the streets. We do have an ordinance that says after 2 inches, your cars are to be removed off the street so we can plow. I want to thank the Traffic Commission because they now voted to put signage up to let people be aware, because Scott suggested at the last meeting that we do that, and they took action on that. So
Good.
they're going to be working on those signs right there.
Thank you very much, Job in the commission.
Okay. AJ, I don't want to forget Don and Dan over there either, but AJ has a great report for us on all the busyness we've been going about. COVID hasn't slowed us down.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, AJ.
It's great to see you all. It's great to be seen, right? I believe each of you received a report of many of the things that we're working on as a department as we head into 2021. I wanted to highlight a couple of things, and then, of course, if you have any questions, please ask. I'm sure I've forgotten something that you know I might be working on, so please help me out. But I want to highlight a couple projects. A project that we opened up bids at the Redevelopment Commission late last month is the Robbins Road Extension Project. That's a project that would build an extension of Robbins Road west of Willow Creek Road and provide new access to the Portage Township YMCA. It's a project that we contemplated for a number of years here as a city, and fortunately we're now able to move forward. And I know that Mayor Lynch is really excited about that, as is the YMCA, and I think at the end it's going to be a wonderful project. You know, in the short term it's definitely a safety improvement project, and long term it really provides for some economic development opportunity as we would develop to the west of Willow Creek and then south toward Loop Road. The lowest bidder came in at just under $750,000. That project is budgeted within the Redevelopment Commission's budget for 2021. And after our staff review and review of legal counsel, we believe that staff will be in a position to make that recommendation to move forward with the lowest bidder at the meeting in March. And we hope to move into contracting immediately and hope to start construction late April, early May. So a very exciting project, again, one that I know Mayor Lynch has talked about for a long time. 2021 paving, at the February 23rd Board of Works meeting, we opened up bids for the paving projects, at least the first round, hopefully, if we're successful in receiving more funding as the year goes on. That project, or that list of projects includes Swanson Road from US 20 to Central Avenue, Central Avenue from Willow Creek to Poplar, and Swanson, no, not Swanson, Loot Road from Swanson to the bridge over Willow Creek, and Aspen from Swanson to Willowdale. We're reviewing the bids and working with Attorney Whitten to review those again, and hope to have a recommendation to the Board of Works at either their next meeting or the following meeting. City Hall Remodel, it's a project that the Redevelopment Commission took on last year, hired CSK Architects to take us through a schematic design process, completed that in November, and the Redevelopment Commission budgeted for a portion of that project in their 2021 budget. And as all of you know, the general obligation bond also committed funds to that project, specifically related to the elevator, ADA accessibility. And so we're really excited to be moving forward on that project. We had a kickoff meeting in February, and we're going to be meeting again next Wednesday. And we'll be meeting in now 2-week increments as we make our way through preparing the construction documents. The plan there is to advertise in mid to late April, open bids in May, and hope to be working on contracting in June, and with an intention to start probably the way it's looking is that week after the Independence Day weekend. The construction schedule is looking to be 4 or 5 months. There's going to be a move in there as part of the construction sequence with the Clerk Treasurer's office. If all goes well, knock on wood, I don't know if this is wood, that your January City Council meeting will be at City Hall. So that's our goal, that's our target, and
we're
we
holding
hope
you to it, whether it's finished or not, AJ.
We hope to get there. We hope to get there. Another project that the city's been working on for a long time, this is a federal aid project. This is the Marquette Greenway Trail through Ameriplex and then continuing south along Daniel Burnham Drive and Jensen Drive down to US 20. That project was let to Walsh and Kelly by the Indiana Department of Transportation in February. I believe very recently the Clerk Treasurer's Office would have sent our local match to that project. That project is set to start here second quarter of 2021, and I believe that the contractor's estimating a 6-month construction schedule on that project. So another great project that's been worked on for a long time and something I'm really excited to see move forward. The There were a lot of other items that I touched on in the report. If you have any questions about those, I'll pause right now if there's anything else you'd like me to touch on. If not, I'll continue.
I'd just like to comment, AJ, it's refreshing and exciting to see your leadership along with Sandy and other people in your department on these projects. A lot of them have been things we've been talking about and considering for a number of years, and you've really taken the bull by the horns and move forward with these, and it's really a testament to your leadership, and thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Councilman, and really Sandy, the entire department, Mayor, the Redevelopment Commission, all of you. You know, I think it demonstrates that all of us working together, we can get a lot done, and so we should all pat ourselves on the back for a lot of great work so far. So we'll keep plugging away, and we'll keep working together to take on as many of the issues as we can. Right? Opportunities is a better way to put it. Another exciting project that, while we may not see direct results of this in the short term, but I believe it's a project that's going to set our community up in the long term, is the project that is articulated a little bit on the boards out in the lobby area. And that those boards are discussing the Transit Development District, a project that the Regional Development Authority is working on. So if you have an opportunity to review those boards, I would ask, please do so. Those boards are also available for review in the department office back at City Hall. So if you don't have the time tonight, you want to make some comments on the survey, please do so. And if you want to meet one-on-one to talk a little bit more about that project, I'd be more than happy to do that, or put you in touch with the folks at the RDA so they can explain it as well. But a great project that really, I think, will go a long way in the development and really implementation of our Northside plan. We've done a lot as the city. We've done a lot of heavy lifting over the last 20 years. Developments like Marina Shores, Ameriplex, the folks at Holiday, and I believe this is just going to be one of those tools in the next 10, 20, 30 years that's really going to help us just do some wonderful things up there on the north side of the city. You know, those are the projects that we work on. You know, in our title, the first word is, well, Department of Planning. And I don't often spend as much time as I probably should give to the planning efforts that we work on in the department, and because there's a lot of work that goes on at the Plan Commission. Just last night, the Plan Commission granted a preliminary plat approval, or primary plat approval for a 174 lot subdivision on the east side of Airport, kind of at the intersection of Lute Road. We continue to have conversations with a lot of other developers looking at single-family residential developments throughout our city, and we work with them. And I'll tell you, it wasn't like this last year, so it tells me that the developers are eager, they're looking. Portage is a good market. We have a good single-family housing market, and they're taking some really hard looks. Well, what that means to us is, you know, we're going to get housing. There's going to be a burden on some of the public services. On the flip side, we're bringing a lot of new young families to town, and that's also really exciting. So there's some challenges, but it's a pretty exciting time.
Can I say something there?
Yes, sir.
Please. With that development going on Lute Road there, I'm hoping there's discussions going on for safety, public safety, along the east side of Lute, or across from Lute on Airport. Along there, is there going to be any discussions, or has it been established there's going to be sidewalks there and a crosswalk for pedestrians to get on the other side of the road to get to the schools, or visiting the subdivision across the street with children are going to be traveling in and out of that subdivision on bicycles, by foot, skateboards,
et cetera.
Et cetera,
right.
Et cetera.
Good question. The primary plat was approved last month, and I know that there was a what I understand to be a long and robust conversation as it related to sidewalks. Is that fair? Okay.
Yeah.
There are a number, so the Plan Commission granted primary plat approval, that development needs to receive the approval of several other boards in the city. Anything related to curb and sidewalks, a number of years ago, that authority basically was taken away from the Plan Commission and given to the Board of Works. So if anybody's seeking a waiver from curbs or sidewalk on our public streets, they have to go to the Board of Works. The Board of Works, I believe, will be taking up that action here at the next meeting or some subsequent meeting.
So they have asked that then?
They, not as of yet. I don't believe they've
okay.
made an agenda yet. They need to, though. That would be what I'm saying. They need to get that done.
Okay.
They also need to go to the Stormwater Board. That developer has been working now for quite a while on relocating that segment of Robbins Ditch. That's the top of the regulated Robbins Ditch. So they are proposing to remove Robbins Ditch from the east side of Airport Road, meander it through their development, and then meet up with Robbins Ditch on the south side of Robbins at the northeast corner of this development. Not quite to 450. Their property line would be shared with it where that solar farm is now. That's where their new ditch would meet up again with Robbins. So they're proposing to fill in Robbins. They're working through their permits, the local permits, the state permits, the federal Corps permits.
Sure.
But there's some work, there's some permitting ahead.
Yeah.
There's some permitting ahead. So from a safety standpoint, those are a couple of the things that are being worked on as it relates to that development. So again, they need to go to the Board of Works. If there's even to get the waiver, they need to go to the Board of Works. Nothing on Portage is a wonderful opportunity to develop. So good stuff, right?
AJ,
yes,
are we seeing any movement on the Augusta area south of Loop? Have we seen it? I know we had a development there that was voted down. Have we seen any new movement there?
Augusta?
Yeah, where Menards is, behind
North.
Menards. Yeah, south of Loop.
So south of Loop, north of Menards. No. Since that zoning matter was, I believe, denied here at the council some time ago, in my time back with the city, I haven't heard a conversation about that development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
Any comment on Lowe's? Is Lowe's still?
That's the next thing on my.
It's okay. I kind of been waiting.
Former Lowe's building. So I did have an opportunity to meet with Al Krieger, who's one of the owners. He about a year and a half ago, he had identified a client. Actually, they had entered into a lease, and something happened with that tenant. They filed bankruptcy. Then they had to go through the whole matters as it related to getting out, everything that the owner had to deal with the lease and the bankruptcy. So he came back to the city after most of those, if not all of those matters were resolved, began talking a little bit about what he envisions for the Lowe's building. And the most I could say right now is that he's exploring I hope to have a good update by next month.
Yeah, you may have it done.
So it might be done. It won't be done. So thank you, Sue, for reminding me. Another project that we've just started at the Redevelopment Commission. Actually, we're reviewing our drawings next Thursday. This is a project at Founders Square. This includes the deconstruction of South Founders Square. So the short section of public street between the playground and the amphitheater. And it includes the construction of a plaza just north of Central Avenue between the PD and the FD. And then lastly, it includes the construction of a small, not too small, municipal parking lot. It's about 70 some spaces that will serve as a municipal parking lot for events at Founders, the amphitheater, provide a little bit of additional parking at the police department. An exciting project. I think as we looked at the Founders Square, specifically the deconstruction of that section of South Founders Square, is that the original intent by that road being there was that there would be the private development on the south side, right? And decisions were made, none of them bad, but decisions were made, and as a result now we have a public street kind of splitting a public park. That wouldn't be the design idea if we started again, right? We're looking really, and that's a great safety project too. You got kids in the playground, you got people at the amphitheater, really kind of taking away that public street through there. So we're working on that. Like I said, we'll be reviewing the first round of drawings next Thursday. The plan on that project is to wrap up drawings in April, bid in May, award in June, and what we're believe is going to end up happening is we're going to start construction the week after the Independence Day weekend, with a target to be substantially complete with the St. Peter's.
That got canceled.
I don't have a deadline then on the back end. Okay, so that was our so again, we'll work as fast as we can to get that project done. The municipal parking lot is being designed in-house in the department. We may move faster on that project, and we'll just see how that goes.
Your 2 minutes are up.
Thank you.
So we'll have a place to put
Thank you,
the
AJ.
Christmas tree.
You did a fine job.
We'll have a place to put the Christmas tree rather than in the middle of a grass field with no electricity. So that's going to work out. So I think our attorney has a few things he wanted to bring up tonight.
Do you want to go up there, Mayor? Try to go up there.
You can.
I'm going to because I want to talk to the council here a little bit.
Okay. You know when he does that, so
It's not good news.
Not good news.
No, great. Okay, so a couple of things. One, there's a lot going on, obviously, in the world of the legal department. A lot of it I can't talk about just yet. It's litigation stuff, but there's always litigation going on in the city, and we've got some new stuff, and we're handling it. So I'll kind of keep you guys posted as things get handled or reached a conclusion. The Catalyst Sports Complex, still working through that. As you know, we got the order foreclosure granted from the circuit court. I ordered some latter-day title work to make sure the title work matched up with what was used when the litigation was originally filed. Got that back. So it's my intention that in the next week or two we'll be requesting it move forward to sheriff's sale. So that's, and then we can go in there and either the property comes back to us through some lien bidding, or somebody with north of $7 million strolls in and lays that big bag of money on the table, and then we have $7 million to worry about. So I'll let you guys know how that turns out. I have a guess which direction that's going to go, but we'll see at the sale how that ends up.
So, Dan, remind me, the funds, RDC owned that property, right?
Yes.
So the funds would go back to the RDC?
Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't count on the funds coming in. I think it's going to be a lien bid situation, as often is the case in those foreclosures. It's an awful lot of money. And, as I told the RDC, as you know, Councilman, that there's been some inquiries, over the last year as to that property. As the mayor can attest, we've had some folks come in with some, inquiries as to, what the thoughts were with the property. They've intimated some desire to perhaps eventually purchase, but that none of that's come to fruition. When we get to the part of the conversation where we invite Mr. Green into the room, a lot of times that's sort of the last you see of him, but we'll see how that goes. So that's pretty exciting, because that's either going to leave us with a pretty good chunk of change or some really awesome developing discussions, so that's good stuff. One other thing I wanted to bring up is that over the last few weeks, it was brought to my attention that, as you may recall, and I know the folks from Marina Shores are here, but last year we had the issue with the tax abatement on a number of properties and the non-compliance with required forms to find their way to the auditor's office from the homeowners. We were able to work through all that. We when I say we, you approved some varying waivers of non-compliance. I've worked with the auditor, got that, approved by her, which she doesn't have to do, as it turns out, but she was kind enough to do it. So we got that resolved. Well, it's been brought to my attention here more recently. We've got what I thought to be 4 properties, but it turns out maybe 5, because the auditor today told me there's another property owner that contacted her to tell her that she wasn't getting her tax abatement. So what if we want to, and I need direction from the council, if we want to embark upon another round of non-compliance waivers, we would need a couple of things, I would suggest. One would be, obviously it has to be done in we have to have a public hearing, a statutorily required public hearing to do that. But there's varying degrees of, as I looked at these properties and had a number of meetings with or conversations with the auditor. Most recently I asked her to give me an update today, which she was kind enough to do, to give myself and Clerk Treasurer Rivas an update on the properties to where we stand in the property by property non-compliance. And there are varying degrees of it. Some folks have gotten their paperwork in, however, very late. And then there are a couple of property owners that haven't gotten them in at all. If we're going to have, if it's the council's desire to entertain the waivers of noncompliance, I would suggest that we set a public hearing, either our next meeting or sometime sooner if need be. But as I've indicated to the auditor, I'm not going to recommend any waivers of noncompliance if the paperwork's not in at the auditor. Mm-hmm. So if it's one thing, because she really is not supposed to grant the tax abatement if she doesn't have the Form 322 in her office, and so I don't want us to do non-compliance waivers if those forms aren't there. It's one thing to deal with late forms, it's another thing to be chasing folks later if we do a non-compliance waiver contingent upon them getting it in later. I don't want to do that. So I think it's 5. I think it's 5 properties. I think there was one other folk that thought they needed it, but it didn't seem from the auditor that they did, because their tax abatement wasn't going to trigger anyway for another year. But so I need some direction from the council as to what you want me to do. I didn't want to spend a lot of hours creating waivers on each one of these properties if you weren't interested in embarking on that path. So Dan, my question would be, of these that aren't compliant, were any of them non-compliant last year and we already granted them a waiver the first time? And now this is a second year. I don't think so. And I think there might have been one, and Nina, you can correct, because we've been sort of unwinding this. It's like peeling back an onion. You get through one layer and you get to the next layer and you just want to cry. But I think there was one that thought they needed an abatement, but I think we might have covered that in the first round.
Okay.
So I think that one might be okay. I'm not sure about that.
So why are the rest of these non-compliant? I guess maybe Marina Shores can answer it. Maybe the resident needs to answer it.
Let her answer.
Okay. So were the forms submitted? Were they not submitted?
Right. First of all, I never got anything from the state.
You're going to have to come up to the mic.
I never come up here.
Yeah, you're going to have to come up to the mic.
So I never got anything regarding the taxes from the county. And I just received in May a late tax bill. And I was like, what is this? So anyway, I never got anything, but I paid the taxes immediately. And then I realized that I needed that 322. So I sent that in immediately. So they have everything that they need to get. But I mean, I just built $1 million home over there in Marina Shores. It's a beautiful house. I'm improving the area for sure.
Right.
So yeah, was it my mistake? Maybe it was. I don't know. But she has it now. She has everything that she needs. As soon as I found out, as soon as I found out how to fill it out and what they needed, it was done that day.
So I guess this might be a question going back.
Schmidt, yeah.
Yeah, it might be going back to last year. I remember we said that Marina Shores was going to need to notify these residents to file these forms. Mm-hmm. That we were not going to do this again. Right. So did anybody notify you that these forms needed to be filed when you purchased this property?
I knew that there were forms, so I did the original form, the 322 I didn't know about. So
Okay.
anyway, as soon as I knew about it, I turned it in. So,
Okay.
Right, so anyway, yeah. And then the house it was like I moved in December, and then they assessed it in March, or I don't know, April or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I never got anything from the tax people that it was assessed, and this was the assessment amount, it's been a little crazy. So, I just want to be there, and I want to live there, and I just want to, the things that I was promised, and I just want to, I'm looking for an exception is what I guess.
Well, we're not doing that tonight.
Well, of course you're
Right.
not, but I know they're going to do it eventually.
Yeah, well, that's the hope.
Right.
I'd just like to support what Councilperson Zilli said. I remember very clearly that we said that Marina Shores, the management of Marina Shores, had a responsibility every year to make sure the homeowners that were entitled to the abatement, that they knew what to do.
Well, at
Because
least
we
in the first
didn't
year.
want to have the same problem that we had in the past, which was very complicated problem that we have again happening this year. So I'm not sure why that fell through the cracks and why that didn't happen and why the communication it appears it didn't take place to some extent. Because, correct me, Attorney Whitten, it's the onus is on the homeowner, right?
Yes.
Is that where the responsibility lies?
Yes.
To make sure these forms are filed each year?
Yeah.
And if the homeowner develops there and builds, then the developer, the management of the property, has the responsibility to communicate what the homeowner needs to do in order to get this abatement.
Especially in the first year. I can see in years 2, 3, 4, and 5, yes, you've known that you need to file this, but in that first year, I wouldn't. A tax abatement for a residential property is not common.
No.
This is
It's
the
not
only place in
common,
the city
and-
where this
and-
exists.
And I think I
Yeah.
slipped through because of the property, I moved in at the end of 19, and it wasn't even assessed until
Right.
April or something of the next year, so it was like a late, and it took me much longer to build the home, I'll tell you that.
All of the property owners don't get the benefit of the abatement at the same time. They wait until the improvements are made, and that takes time.
I understand that,
We were
Mr.
all informed
Bresnahan.
Last year, because I coordinated with Dan, and we took care of what we assumed at the time, May of 20. I have all the email chains of what we were instructed to do.
But-
And we've done that.
But my point is this, Mr. Bresnahan, that regardless, you have to first determine who's eligible. That's the first step.
We have that.
And what needs to be communicated, if that eligibility doesn't come up to another tax year, that new homeowner that is eligible needs to be told what the responsibility is. And I think, well, then why didn't they do it?
They're not getting information from the county.
Yep, but
That's
the
not
county
true.
doesn't provide the
It's
information.
not the county's
onus is on the
responsibility.
homeowner. So I think, Dan, what we need to do here is bring these forward, and we're gonna have to look at them on a case-by-case basis of what the situation is, because they could all be different situations. So I think we need to bring these forward, and know what is the situation for all 4 or 5 of these. And
Yeah,
we're gonna
I'm not
make a
opposed
decision.
to hearing the homeowner's situation in case.
Right.
I'm not opposed to that, and I think we owe the homeowner that.
And I appreciate it, because there's like 4 or 5 homeowners that purchased the home, like Joan did. The tax abatement had a lot to do with why she
Okay,
invested.
so
And the council voted for it, and then of course, a couple of years go by the time the home is built. And there is a lot of, miscommunication or gaps in the understanding with the different people that have to be discussed with this issue.
Well, yeah, but hold on. I just want to, I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with a lot of that, but I'm going to take exception to a little bit of it. So the city's responsibility ends pretty quick, right? They entertain the SB1, if they want to do it, they do their resolution, and then they're pretty much out of the picture, right? Now it becomes the homeowner. They've gotten their approval from the city. We're done. And then it goes to the homeowner and the auditor. And it's the onus is upon the homeowner what their timeline is, right? And I think the default, they gave an extended timeline last year, frankly, because of COVID. But you're right, as these properties get assessed, because they're completed, that triggers some timeline, particularly with those, if they fall in that spot where you were at, but then that makes your forms are in now, which is good, but they're late, so we need a non-compliance, so you're not one of the worst ones, Shay. There's folks still haven't got their forms in at all, but, so this business of the miscommunication on the part of the city, a request was made before my time, but a request was made, it was entertained, it was considered, it was granted, the end. They're done. Now it's on the homeowner. Statute talks about what happens if the homeowner doesn't get those forms in, right? And an annual form. So they have to come back to the city and show that there's still statement of compliance. If we do nothing on the statement of compliance, if we just ignore it and it goes in a drawer somewhere, the county will consider it in compliance, right, till the next year.
Yep.
So we're kind of just waiting for you folks. And your part is to get those forms to the auditor. And everybody's, after that first year, pretty much everybody's on the same deadline anyway. It's May. So it's pretty simple. And you're right, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money at stake for you. You need to get your forms in.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
all right, I'd like to do this.
So all that having been said, so here we are. So what the statute allows for us to do is, if a request is made upon this board to give a waiver of noncompliance, it can, like last year, it can entertain that request one way or the other. So I don't want to do it for you, because for one thing I can't do it. But
right.
So if this board is inclined to sort of treat this like a request for a waiver of noncompliance, we can set up for a public hearing. We consider these properties one by one. There's not that many of them. That's good. There's not as many as last year. So, and then you guys can decide what you want to do. That might be the cleanest way to do it.
We'll consider this as a request.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing at our April regular city council meeting to hear this request. And the rest of them, I mean, they have to file their forms, for one, if they haven't already, but do we contact them? I don't think we could.
So so maybe the simplest, Dave, if you'd like, I got today, because I wanted to make sure that everybody had them in at least now. There's a couple that don't. I can get you that information, and maybe it's easiest you guys could let them know that, hey, listen, we're going to have a public hearing, but those forms have got to be, I can email you.
No, I totally understand that. It's the instruction of what we need to provide, which, again, you and I had that interaction last year, and now as we come across the same time of year, now some more people are now being assessed, and now they're entering, and they're not in the system, where it was voted, it was approved, whatever lot we purchased, and so that's where the gap is.
But we're not talking about their abatement. We're talking about their annual certification that they're in compliance with their abatement. These are two different things. Their abatement was taken care of already, because you bring that forward as the developer. Each of those come before the city council, I think we're done on Marina Shores, right? I think that expired.
Yes,
but
we are done.
You brought those forward when you developed the property. When you sell the property to the homeowner, the onus moves to the homeowner to file this compliance every year. What we said last year was we understood that there was confusion between who needed to file this. Unless you're a homeowner in Marina Shores or somewhere else in Indiana that offers tax abatements on your home, it's not common. You wouldn't know to file this form. I wouldn't have known to file the form. What we said at the time was that we needed you to inform those residents, especially in year one, you need to file this form. Otherwise, you could lose your tax abatement.
Year one for some last year.
I understand. Year one for whenever the abatement was issued, whether it was last year, this year, 2 years ago, it doesn't matter. That these homeowners need to be made aware of this. This isn't common. So I think we'll bring this forward. I made the motion to set the public hearing, what day would that be? April, whatever the next meeting is.
First Tuesday of April.
Yeah, we'll set, so April 6th, to hear this request. There are others out there. We can set a public hearing to hear them as well, right, Dan?
So what I think we should do is, there's a couple out there that also have their forms in, just crazy late. Let's hear them.
Okay.
I'll second that motion, and then I'd like to have some discussion on that motion, if I may, Mayor. So are we only going to have a public hearing on those that have submitted their 322s.
So that's up to you, but it's my legal opinion that you cannot grant a non-compliance for somebody
Okay.
who's still in non-compliance.
Exactly.
So I would suggest that the answer to that question is we will only entertain those that have gotten their forms in.
By that day, right? Or,
Fine.
yeah.
Now, how are we gonna verify that, Dan?
I'm gonna ask the auditor,
Okay.
like I did today. I wanted to
Sure.
come in here with a most up-to-date list.
Absolutely. Okay.
And we anticipate at this point that's 5 homeowners?
I believe it's 5.
Yeah, because I don't want 28 homeowners showing up.
Well, I think at this point, there shouldn't be anybody left.
Right.
I mean, right. The homeowners, at this point, if they don't file it,
Yeah.
that's on them. They know that they're required to do that. If you sell your property and the next homeowner doesn't sell it, that's part of the entire process.
That's
when you
right.
buy that property. So, I mean, we can't be waiving this every year for the next
No.
5 years, so.
And I don't want you to.
Right.
You know, so I saw it last year, because Dan and I.
Yeah, we got through it.
In several communications, and by the time we were done, we thought we were done with it. Now we're going into another year, and more people have found that they're like not in the system for the abatement, and then that's why we're here trying to.
Well, the auditor's office can only work with what they have filed.
Right.
And there have been different.
They don't have crystal ball.
I know, I've had to work with different people from the city, from Kristen, up to different people at the county, and that has contributed to some of the confusion, so.
Well, like Attorney Whitten said, this council's responsibility is basically done once we make a decision on whether an abatement can be granted. We're done, we're out of it. Is that correct? Did you say that?
Yeah, unless they bring their certificate of compliance and they're not in compliance, then you can take it away from them.
Right. I mean, it's no different than any other tax abatement.
Yeah.
If you say you were going to create 50 jobs and you created 1 job,
So I think
you're not in
that-
compliance, we're going to.
So my suggestion is
hold you
exactly
in compliance.
what 2 councilmen are intimating here with motions and seconds, is that we just have a public hearing, we entertain the ones that have their forms in. I'll let you know the ones that still don't, and maybe you can get out to them and let them get them in. And then we'll get past it.
Okay.
All right.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, I think that's all I've got right now, unless there's other, I've stirred up enough tonight.
That's enough.
All right. I'd like to leave a room laughing.
Thank you.
Dan shouldn't be doing your homework.
Thank you, Dan.
He did a lot of legwork for you, going to the county and getting information, and that should not be happening. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a lot more background.
I was in some of your meetings, so I know,
All right.
and you knew. Okay, Don, would you like to report on the sanitary district?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So anyway, it was kind of a rough month last month with all the snow and the cold. Us sweated it out a little bit on our affluent. But we're in good standings. We had no exceedance for the month. The staff did a great job in the snow removal. Just wanted to point that out that, you know, we only have a limited supply of people. So one guy at night on midnights and afternoons, so they have to do some extra pulling the weight there. But all in all, everything come together. We had a few frozen tanks. They sit empty, so water comes in. And it's just, when it's that cold, it's hard to, so if we had to use them, it'd be very stressful to get those thawed out and take hours and hours, so. But everything worked out well and came together, and now it's thawed, and now we're gonna wait for land application to happen on our biosolids. We'll be doing some toxicity testing here in the month of March. It's a annual permit parameter, an evaluation of our effluent to make sure it's not toxic, which it has never been. I can say that. We had, as AJ mentioned, a lot of calls for development, for capacity. Probably I had like 4 or 5 this month already. And so part of that is we've hired Commonwealth engineers to do a sanitary master plan. And that's all because we're approaching capacity. And so we need to start working on a master plan to keep the growth. We have growth, so now we need to look at our situation and the growth areas that are coming up. And so Commonwealth has been hired to do that plan, and they're going to speed it up, and they gave us an 8-month time frame, but they're sure they can finish that study prior to the 8-month deadline. And so talking about some of this, we have secured a Army Corps, U.S. Army Corps engineer grant on our interceptor, on our 36-inch line between Mulberry and Central Avenue. That's over 50 years old. There's a lot of I&I issues there. And so originally we looked at it and we were gonna do this work ourselves over a couple of years. But we put in for the project and it was accepted. So it's a $1.6 million Army Corps grant, which is funded by them 75%, and ours is 25%. That will help whatever. I think we're going to probably go cure in place, which is a liner that goes in, and I think it's about 1,200 feet. And that's right near the cemetery and the creek. So we're getting that infiltration off that creek and that water level into the utility, which is keeping our peak capacity high when it rains. That's the second area on an interceptor now that we've worked on in the last 5 years. And at the plant we have other capital improvements we're going to be spending on this year, some more roofs that are aged roofs, 20 years plus, some electrical stuff, and that's pretty much about it, what's going on at the utility level as far as the plant goes. Anybody have any questions on the grants or
How's that new
studies?
biosolids?
Pardon me?
How's the new biosolids pad doing?
Doing well. There's nothing on it right now. So, we just moved the snow off. But the biosolids in the summer, we start putting it out there about April and through to about October, and it's been very successful.
Good.
We're getting 30 to 60% solids off of that by windrowing it.
No, that's great.
So that worked out very well.
Good.
And our gravity belt thickener, it's holding our capacity right now in our digesters. So we're moving right along. We make these improvements and start thinking about planning some more capacity at the facility and in the collection system.
Are you talking a whole new tank or two?
Well, we would
you're thinking?
expand,
Yeah.
in addition to what we have.
Yeah, right. The whole new tank or just
Yeah, well, they're gonna look at some
Two more?
options.
Okay, sure.
Bigger lift stations, things like that.
Okay.
So once that, plan is complete, I can come back to council and give them, where we're at with everything. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Thanks, Don.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Don, appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
So last but not least is Dan, and we're not putting you at the end because you're in the doghouse.
I knew you'd take Don first, age before beauty, you know. Hello, everyone. I'm gonna, expand a little bit on Don with the interceptor. We're actually going to also raise some manholes because they're below the floodplain level. So we're gonna actually raise them up because when the creek comes up, obviously, and it's over the manhole, that's not good. So we're actually raising them. Then we have a siphon that's right there on Willow Creek too. That's also gonna be redone. And that was part of, there was a plan several years ago that was done. And this is one of the projects that they identified as needing to be done, along with the one, if you remember, that went underneath 20 and underneath the railroad tracks. That was another one that was identified on a previous study and planned, to get it done, and we got it done. And this is really a great plan because, with the match, it's something that will help the city tremendously, especially with development later on too. So, lift stations, we've actually upgraded several lift stations here lately. Due to the COVID and more people being home, it's actually put a lot more pressure on our pumps and our lift stations. We've had several pumps that we've had to send in to have rebuilt. We have some spares, but then the spares are older because they're spares. We put a new pump in and take them out and say, oh, we'll keep this for a spare. So we're trying to actually buy some more pumps to have extra spares, because once you get down to one pump, then if that one goes out, then you got a real problem, especially if you don't have a spare. We had another issue where NIPSCO, the power went out, and obviously there's a generator that was on site there. Well, it broke down too. So the guys had to bring a portable generator. Well, there's a lot of work and effort to switch that over to a portable generator. So we've been putting in these plugs where now all we got to do is move the portable generator in, and it just plugs in instead of having to unhook the other one and hooking up the new one. So that saves a lot of time and effort, and sometimes in them situations when a lift station goes down, time is of the essence. We actually had kind of a neat little demo today. It's a camera that you hook on a jet truck. You hook on a nozzle, you put it down, and then when you bring it back, it actually has a nozzle, so it pushes the water so you can see, especially when you have a belly in the pipe, because our camera truck guy, if he goes in and gets underwater, you cannot see anything. So you don't know what's happening in the bottom of a pipe, if the joint's separated, or what's going on. So this actually pushes the water, and you pull the camera, and you can actually see that pipe as it pulls the water back with the jet pushing the head forward. And it was kind of a really neat thing. The only bad thing about it isn't like the camera truck. When you stick it in there, you lose reception because you don't have the line hooked to it. So you got to run it through, run it back, and then you could, on an iPhone, you got an app, you could do it right on your phone, you could do it on an iPad or whatever. Then you could look at it and see what you got going on. We have a collapsed line. You could run it to that collapsed line to be able to see, because you could push the water back to see what's going on. So that was kind of exciting today to see that actually working. Best Equipment came out and did that for us. The jet trucks are out when needed, or whenever the weather's a little warmer, doing trouble spots or any other issues we have there. The sweepers, we're getting them geared up because we need to get out there and try to get these streets swept, because they are kind of dirty now from the winter and all the dirt and everything, snow melting, the dirt coming in the curbs. So we're working on getting them all prepared for as soon as we get a little warmer weather. We also had at Kingman and Baldwin, we had a little issue there. We went and kind of took care of that. We had another manhole that someone put a 2x4 in and it blocked it up. So it was, the street got flooded, and as soon as we pulled the 2x4, it all disappeared. Other than that, everything actually, not, you know, thank goodness, has been going pretty good. And we'll see how the rainy season goes this year. Last year we had tons and tons of sinkholes last year, you know, due to all the rain we had early in spring. So hopefully this year it'll be a little bit better. But that's about it. So everything else seems to be running pretty smooth.
Dan, I just have one question.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
many pumps are at each lift station?
2.
And how many lift stations do you have?
44. Not to mention we're going to have a few more in new developments, unless we don't have to take them over.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. I know
Thank
you
you.
guys are going to get busy pretty soon as this weather breaks, so.
Yes, it's getting that way already.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, y'all.
Thanks for
Have a
all you
nice
do.
evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
We have reports from standing committees.
I'd like to report on the Ordinance Committee, Madam Mayor. We met today at 5 p.m. at a public meeting. We addressed, excuse me, and talked about 5 different ordinances that the committee is reviewing: the ambulance fee, fireworks, solicitation and tag day, golf cart, which we're going to make a decision on tonight, an amendment to the golf cart. The council will review, and then gross weight restrictions. We made a lot of progress. I want to thank the committee, Councilperson Clem and Councilperson Podorski, for their participation. We also had participation from the fire department and input from Chief Randy and Assistant Chief Kodacek. And then Attorney Stacy Witten also participated via phone, and she's played an important role in preparing some of this information for our review. So basically what happened, the results is we're going to have 3 ordinances. They think that we have basically finalized. Attorney Witten, Stacy Witten, is going to prepare for the council's consideration in April, and that would be the restructuring of the ambulance fees, fireworks ordinance, and the solicitation and tag days. As I mentioned, we'll take up golf carts tonight. We're still gathering some more information for the gross weight restrictions, and we'll take that under further consideration when we meet at our next meeting. Did I miss anything?
No.
No? Good. Okay, thank you.
Yes, good job. Are there any other reports from standing committees? If not, we will move on to Resolution 21-02, a resolution updating the multi-hazard mitigation plan.
Debbie, will you go ahead and read that, please?
Resolution 21-02, Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan Update. Whereas the City of Portage recognized the threat that natural hazards pose to people and property, and whereas undertaking hazard mitigation actions before disasters occur will reduce the potential for harm to people and property and save taxpayer dollars. And whereas an adopted multi-hazard mitigation plan is required as a condition of future grant funding for mitigation projects, and whereas the City of Portage participated jointly in the planning process with the other local units of government with Porter County to prepare a multi-hazard mitigation plan. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, hereby adopt the Porter County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan as an official plan, and be it further resolved that the Porter County Emergency Management Agency will submit on behalf of participating municipalities the adopted multi-hazard mitigation plan to the Indiana Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency for final review and approval. Let the record reflect it's read in its entirety.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Just to give the council some insight into this, this is a plan that all of the municipalities worked on with, I'm trying to think of the engineering firm off the top of my head, I'm trying to pull the plan up, with Burke, and we had decided to go forward in this plan, I think in 2018, the plan was completed in 2019. We just need to adopt the plan as our official hazard plan in order to qualify for state grants.
Okay. No further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I can't vote, I'm sorry. I'm used to voting. We have the introduction of ordinance number 20-01, golf cart impoundment.
Brian, can you go ahead and take that?
Yeah, ordinance 21-01, an ordinance amending municipal code of the city of Portage. Be it, and it is hereby ordained by the common council of the city of Portage, Indiana, as follows. Whereas the council desires to amend the municipal code to amend the section governing the use of golf carts within the city limits. And section 1, the Portage Municipal Code shall be amended to add the following. Chapter 78, Article 5, Section 165, subsection E, paragraph 1. The police chief and his or her respective designees may impound a golf cart when in violation of any provision of Chapter 78, Section 165. And all impoundment shall be subject to the fee schedule as outlined in Chapter 50, Article 2, Division 4, Section 50 through 88 of the City of Portage Municipal Code. Make a motion. Let the record reflect that this has been read in its entirety. Make a motion to suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any further discussion?
This is just to give the police chief the ability to impound golf carts if they're in violation. Those who don't know, we passed a golf cart ordinance last year. It started yesterday, so if you have one and you're planning on taking it on the street, make sure you go to the police department and get registered and find out what the rules and regulations are for operating those so you don't get impounded.
And probably the police could have impounded anyway under the off-road vehicle one, but
They wanted to be
the
abundantly
police wanted
sure.
a comfort order, so.
They wanted to be abundantly sure that they
Yes,
could do this.
yes.
The last thing we want to do is get sued for impounding a golf cart illegally, right, Dan?
I believe you are correct.
So you have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have petitions, remonstrances, and public input. At this time, if anybody would like to speak to the council, you may come forward. Please give your name and address and try to stay within the 2-minute limit. Now, don't everybody run up to that mic at the same time, because we are distancing here.
That's crazy.
Are there any other matters to come before the council?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I didn't know if you wanted to make an announcement about the State of the City address and the fact that there's a limited number of people.
We are doing the State of the City on March 18th here at Woodland Park. I believe it's at 11:30.
Yes.
I think the limit is 60 people, but we are monitoring that because we are a yellow. And if we move to blue, we can add people. So we do have a list. Z will also be live streaming that. So if you don't want to go outside, you can sit in your house and watch it on your computer because it'll be live streamed. So if you want to watch our website or the Chamber of Commerce, because the Chamber of Commerce puts this on, if they want to add people, they do have a wait list because it's filling up really fast. So you could get on the wait list in case the county releases some more people to attend.
I think Ferdinand had something.
Can we just get for the record explanation of what happened to my microphone?
I know the answer.
Yeah. Hopefully our new council chamber and
So you didn't pay the council
Exactly.
microphone dues?
There's a rental. Yes, every month, one microphone will be missing. from
Yeah, right.
It's
It was your turn.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
In reality, the system only has so many inputs, and this is the first time that we've had everybody in person since last year when we were closer together and people were sharing mics. So, yes, but somebody wasn't here, so we had enough mics. Yeah. That is something we're going to work on. We're working on it, Ferdinand. We're working on it. But I can confirm we will all have our own stationary mics in the new council chamber.
In the new council.
That's funny.
And you'll be able to turn it on and off.
If you want to move front and center, Ferdinand, you can have my seat. I'll sit on the fringe.
So are there any other matters to come before the council? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll put you a second.
Do you have like a for that? We got to vote. Aye. All right, there. We all voted.
I didn't.